agenda is our approval of minutes, appropriations, and council correspondence. Do I have a motion?
No, you don't, I have an amendment to the minutes.
Okay.
Under, the first paragraph under audience participation, the health, reserve, what is it, the health committee? Yeah, right, the name anyway is Les Dean, D-E-A-N, not Bean, and it appears in that paragraph twice.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, you know, the hearing, I know, fails sometimes. Also, I have a question, and I doubt if anyone can answer this here, but maybe Shane would be able to, but on the retail, the local retailer's sales tax, and compensation tax, use tax, you know, the rate, the city's rate is 1%, isn't that true?
Yes.
And the hospital rate is 1%. And those amounts are not the same, and I would expect them to be the same.
I've had to figure that a time or two, and it's not real easy. People don't always pay the taxes when they should, and we get a download from the state, and it breaks it down by what tax period it was. So there may be some that are paying when it was 6%, and like back taxes, it jumps all over the place. So the only time it's ever the same is when we don't have the download in time to prepare the paperwork, and then we go ahead and we just break it down 1%, 1%, but it has actually gone through and each amount is picked off the list, and that's why it's different.
So you get the sales tax that was collected off the list, or you get the sales
What was collected?
and you don't get the calculation, you get just the
Well,
sales tax collected.
it's a huge page and a lot of information on it, but it tells the tax period and what the percentage was at that point. And that's why it's different, because there are some older taxes that are being collected now.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. I knew it went to an accountant type issue. I'm glad. All right. I'm glad you are here to be our checks and balances, Jan. All right. Anything else?
No, I move we accept the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the consent agenda, or approve the consent agenda as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right. Thank you, Councilmember Cordy. All right, we have reports of mayor and council. I'm gonna start with the ladies tonight. Mrs. Hawley. I have nothing. Mrs. Cordy.
No, nothing.
Mr. Butts.
Nothing.
Mr. Valentine. This is a sad day for Wellington that Mr. Valentine has lost his voice. Go ahead.
No,
Okay. Okay. I just want to say good luck to the Lady Crusaders. They are headed to state for the second year in a row and certainly have done very well this year. And they have a really tough first round, so I hope a lot of people can make it up to Salina to the Tony's Pizza Event Center, also known as the Bicentennial Center. The big pizza oven. The game is late on Thursday, but I'm sure that the principals will excuse anyone on Friday. I just don't know that bosses will. But we certainly do want to let the Lady Crusaders and Coach Adams know that we're behind them all the way. And certainly want to send our thoughts and prayers from the city of Wellington to all the communities that are fighting these wildfires. I know a lot of former Wellington residents who are in the Hutchinson area have been posting some amazing pictures and video on Facebook, and our hearts certainly do go out to those communities, because there, but for the grace of God, go any of us. Jason, do we have anybody that's helping out?
I believe we sent some crews up on the weekend to help out at the Hutch fire, yes.
Okay,
I
and
don't
then,
know that we've sent anybody out west to help with those fires yet.
okay. Well, let's just hope these winds and the dry conditions go away, and hopefully rain is in the forecast. And last but certainly not least, our thoughts and prayers are also with the Jones family. That's why our city manager, Shane Shields, is not here with us this evening, as Danielle's father is not doing well. So certainly keep him in your prayers. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Anybody have anything else? All right, Jason, I will turn it over to you for city official reports.
I don't believe we have anything, really to address tonight, other than getting to the resolutions and answering any questions that you may have there.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Wetta.
Well, he can't talk, but we were talking outside, and maybe you and Sean together can address. We've had a lot of questions about the building at Lincoln Place. Could you tell us where we're at on that?
Mr. DeJong.
Sure. The insurance company has stayed in touch with the city very, very well. Mr. Shields and I've been involved in some of those. Part of the demolition situation is asbestos and how they're gonna handle that. And that's where they're at in the process. It appears demolition is gonna move forward. It's a private matter. The city is monitoring, obviously, because we've got streets closed and condemnation, but we all know we'd rather have the insurance company pay for the demolition of that building versus the city.
Absolutely.
But I know it doesn't look like much, but behind the scenes, there's a lot going on towards accomplishing demolition, which then will result in us being able to open the street back up. So, I don't know the status of the asbestos, survey, what would you call it? To where they can come up with an abatement plan, for the asbestos before it can move forward, so.
I think we talked a little about it last night.
Yes.
The insurance company is, some money is,
There's money being held back to cover the cost of demolition.
okay.
I don't wanna get into specific discussions, cause there's still ongoing settlement stuff.
These were some of the questions we were.
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
there is progress.
And I do know that somebody got up there on Sunday because there was some concern about some metal flapping, and I
Yeah.
saw it.
Electric distribution will truck out to get that.
Yes, so thank you to them, because that was on a Sunday, and that's, certainly not regular hours, so. All right, we have no public hearing, no ordinances, so we'll move on to our resolution, which our first one is a resolution approving and accepting bids and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Rotech Services for the repair, rebuild of the Peerless brand circulating water pump for the cooling tower to the steam turbine condenser in the amount of $17,583.04.
Okay, so to start off, you have some additional paperwork there in front of you. There was a little confusion on this bid. When it came in, we actually asked for bid on a rebuild pump, but a couple of the vendors bid new. And due to the large discrepancy in the numbers and the one vendor not having the opportunity to bid new, we feel that it's appropriate to reject the bids at this time, which would give the staff a little bit more time to evaluate other possibilities. During the course of the conversations with these vendors, they presented some possible other ways of dealing with this pump. So Travis Warsh, electric production supervisor, is looking at other ways of dealing with this. We do have money budgeted this year. We have $45,000 budgeted this year to deal with this, and as you can see on these bids, they all come up in excess of that on the new side. On the rebuild side, we're just not real sure what we're gonna be getting. So we're gonna evaluate it a little bit further, and we'll more than likely be bringing it right back to you.
Is that a crisis?
It is not. We have two pumps on the cooling tower, and one is in good shape. We can make it through, actually, both of them will probably make it through the summer. We just wanna stay ahead of the game. So,
Good deal.
So I will make a motion that we reject all bids.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded that we reject the bids that have been offered. Madam Clerk, I need a roll call vote.
Actually, I think you can do a voice vote.
Oh, voice vote, okay.
You're not actually reading the resolution.
Okay, good deal. All right, so all those in favor of rejecting this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. rejected. All right, number 2, resolution. And our resolution authorizing the city manager to sign a federal aid fund exchange request to exchange agreement with the Kansas Department of Transportation. What is this about?
I believe Director Jones brought this to your attention about a year ago. This is the action that you took to do the master agreement with KDOT, reference the federal fund exchange, I believe is what it is, and Director Jones can provide more details if needed.
This is very similar to what we talked about in March of 2016. We did the master agreement and then ultimately exchanged funds in which we received $475,000. Received a letter last week that that program's opened up again until April 14th. And we have $94,086 of federal funds sitting at the state level, which we can exchange at 90 cents on the dollar and receive $84,677.80. Those funds we can then use for other street projects locally. Otherwise, the money at the state level we have to use on federal projects, which we do not do very many of. They're normally more expensive, a lot of additional requirements. Simply asking for authorizing city manager to sign the request to exchange.
All right, pretty simple. Do I have a motion?
I move we do the exchange.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the city manager to sign a federal aid fund exchange request. Madam Clerk, I do need a roll call.
Mr. Butts?
Yes.
Mr. Valentine? Mr. Wetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Holly?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordy?
Yes.
5 affirmative votes for resolution 5805.
I have a question. Do we get this money right away, or does it sit there like that money accumulated to get to the 425,000?
We will get it more on an annual basis. Reading through the guidelines, they don't really like to stockpile money like that. I think it just slipped through a lot of cracks for that to happen. We thought that that was being saved up to replenish money from the Vandenberg project at the state level. That appeared to not be the case. That's why we had not gone for that money over the years. So we will be doing this annually to reimburse. It's actually a reimbursement. We show receipts for money that we've actually spent on qualifying rehab work.
Okay, so then we get cash to do something else?
Yes.
But it has to be street related, correct? Or does it?
For the most part, bridges, streets, ADA compliance for sidewalks and ramps, but, yeah, street network.
All right, thank you very much. Our next resolution is one authorizing the city manager to execute a purchase order with Schmidt & Sons of Winfield, Kansas for a 2017 Kubota F2690 four-wheel drive front mount commercial mower for the park department in the amount of $20,074.
This resolution is for the park department to replace, I believe it's a 2008 John Deere mower. Director Jones can provide more details if needed.
One of our 2 front-mounted mowers in the park department does replace the 2008 John Deere with over 3,200 hours on it. Those mowers are used to maintain 4 neighborhood parks, Warden Park Complex, Sellers Park, Rock Island Ball Fields, and then certain areas of Hargis Creek watershed. Some of those mowers are also used to help with snow removal on the corner extensions downtown. Not all of them. This one in particular is the one that we use downtown. We visited with 5 different vendors in the area and sent out for bids for those. All 5 submitted bids. You see in the memo, we did end up rejecting one of those bids for failure to complete the submission form, and then also not supplying a 4-wheel drive mower. A 2-wheel drive will not push the snow that we need. Prairie Land Partners submitted 2, one meeting spec and then one just under the horsepower requirement, which we kind of knew that they were going to do. And Professional Turf also submitted a Toro that did not meet our engine and horsepower requirements. Kubota was the only machine to meet minimum specs and fall within budget. We had two vendors supply a Kubota mower, Price Brothers Equipment in Wichita and Schmidt Brothers in Winfield. Schmidt Brothers provides the best overall bid for us, lowest price, 30-day delivery, and met all specs. In looking, we've never had a Kubota mower, but in looking at those, they appear to be a well-built machine. We're willing to give it a try. And does come in, we have $20,000 budgeted. This does come in $74 over. We're not doing the option 2, which is a spare front and rear tire and rims. We will simply put that off and purchase those as needed. It does speed up. We get a fair amount of flat tires throughout the year. It's much easier if we have one, because all of our mowing's off-site, I guess you could say, from the park department. Much easier to deal with those, but we'll deal with that on an as-needed basis.
All right. Any other questions or comments?
What are we gonna do with the old?
We'll assess all the other mowers within our departments. We may push it down to another department and take one off the bottom end and purple wave it, or we may go ahead and purple wave this one. We'll talk with everyone and see where the need is.
Or perhaps another online auction person?
Maybe, yes.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I would make that motion.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution authorizing the city manager to execute this purchase order with Schmidt and Sons. For the Kubota. Did I say that right? All right. Madam Clerk, can you please do a roll call vote?
Mr. Valentine? Mr. Wetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Hawley?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordy?
Yes.
And Mr. Betts?
Yes.
5 affirmative votes for resolution 5806.
All right. We're on resolution 4, right, Madam Clerk? A resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a purchase order with Prairie Land Partners of Winfield, Kansas for a 2017 John Deere four-wheel drive general purpose utility tractor with a John Deere 360 flail mower for the street department in the amount of $33,821.14.
Again, resolution authorizing the purchase of a replacement of one of the utility tractors, used for pretty much maintaining right-of-ways, some of the city lots. Since Jeremy's on a roll, we'll see if he's got any more details to provide for you, if you have any questions.
$40,000 budgeted for the street department to replace one of our 2 tractors and flail mowers. This is a 1991 Ford tractor, and it is used for predominantly a right-of-way, city-owned lots, police, shooting range, and large weed notices. Also, over the years, we've acquired some property in different developments. We've used it to mow those. We are beginning to see repairs mounting up. It's actually been a pretty good tractor for us since 2010, about $3,700, but the transmission is currently leaking. I went to look at it today, and there's probably not any fluid left in the transmission. We're looking at probably $4,000 to $5,000 in repairs to get it going this year. We did not do those repairs because this was in the budget, so. Again, we visited with area vendors, sent out to 4 of those for a 4-wheel drive general purpose utility tractor with a single flail mower. One of the specs was that flail mower sit within the width of the rear tires. That helps us go around poles, sign poles, utility poles, and their guy wires when we're on the highways. We had each vendor submitted. Straub International provided the lowest tractor bid, however, their flail mower was the highest price. that particular brand is not high on our list, especially for that dollar amount.
Mahindra?
The Mahindra tractor, yes, which we do have two Mahindra tractors, Cemetery and Lake. They've not been bad machines. We've had issues with the front bucket. This tractor will not have a front bucket, so we don't have to worry about that. We're a little concerned about service. In dealing with those issues in those two departments, service has, in our estimation, been lacking. Response has been delayed, availability of parts is longer than what we feel it should be. That creates an issue. Our mowing, with two tractors mowing, we're on about a 2.5 to 3 week rotation as it is. That can be an issue for us. If one of them's down, it just creates a larger issue. It's essential to keep them moving. So for that, we looked at the Kubota and the John Deeres. We do have one Kubota in the street department, been a good machine. We've had numerous John Deeres over the years, always had good luck with those. They both have a shorter turning radius than the Mahindra by about 4 feet, which is almost half the length of the tractor. You go from about 16 feet to 11, and that's a big factor for us for where we're mowing. Problem, the Kubota dealer did not submit a bid for a flail mower. So, we could go somewhere else and buy a flail mower, but there was about $1,000 difference between the Kubota and the John Deere. The John Deere has an additional 2-year powertrain warranty. So we felt for that additional $1,000, we're getting an extra 2-year, total of 5-year protection on the engine, transmission, and those things. So, we still come in
That's
a
just
little
the
over
tractor,
60.
right?
I'm sorry?
Warranty's just on the tractor?
Correct. Still come in a little over $6,100 under budget. So we were pleased with all the bids as far as dollar amounts. Prairie Land Partners, they own all the John Deere, well, not all, but they own the majority of the John Deere dealerships in this area of the state. So availability of parts, we typically use Winfield, always have good luck there, but we can also go to Anthony if we need to. We recommend purchase of the John Deere with the 360 flail mower.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Same question.
Sure.
Is it worth anything, or is it the old one? What are we gonna do?
We will be auctioning that one off. Yeah.
As is.
What's the lifespan of the new one?
Well, we hope to get 30 years out of them. This one just, there's a number of smaller things that, other than the transmission, there's a number of smaller things that are starting to go wrong with it. We kind of felt that in order to get 30 years out of it, we were gonna spend well more than what a good investment would be.
Yeah, I think we got a good life out of the last one, so. All right. We have a motion to approve.
I'll move we approve the purchase.
I have a second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution authorizing our city manager to purchase this flail, or John Deere tractor with flail mower for the street department. Madam Clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Mrs. Cordy?
Yes.
Mr. Betts?
Yes.
Mr. Valentine? Mr. Wetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Holly?
Yes.
5 affirmative votes for resolution 5807.
All right, our next resolution is a resolution authorizing the city manager to accept the City of Wellington 2017 Community Development Block Grant Housing Rehabilitation Plan.
So, this resolution is to accept the housing rehabilitation plan for the CDBG grant. Casey Tillman, who is our grant administrator, we expected him to be here tonight, or we thought he was gonna be able to make it tonight, evidently something came up. So basically what this plan does is the subcommittee looked over it, they made some suggestions to as far as some adjustments that they felt need to be made. It kind of spells out kind of the expectations of both parties in the grant. It kind of spells out, the eligibility requirements that are needed and kind of the stance of the grant. So the subcommittee has looked it over and they're recommending approval.
Okay, Mrs. Cordy?
Have they pre-qualified any of those people who, pre-enrolled in the project or maybe, you know, because when I read through here, I'm thinking people with this income level are gonna have a hard time having the extra money that is required. Like, we're gonna spend 25,000 out of the grant and they need to have 5 or something like that.
Sure.
I mean, I just couldn't quite wrap my mind around this really happening.
I understand. I don't know the details on that. City Manager Shields has been the one who's been dealing with that, the majority of the time.
Unless it's
Yeah, I
changed,
think-
homeowners don't have to pay a
Exactly.
dime.
Right, that's
Only
what I
if it's a
understood.
rental
If it's a
property.
rental?
Rental
The
property.
landlords would have to
Right.
pay the 25%, I
Well,
believe it
consumer-
was, and
Owner occupied, there's no expense.
That's what I understood it at the
So-
beginning. I just don't know that if it's changed or anything.
I doubt it. I don't think it has.
Then I'm probably reading something in here that's really not there, but it's,
Well, the landlords have to put up to $7,500, I think, isn't it, per,
Just up to
Property.
7,500, yeah, and that's where they were getting the city's percentage from, was from the landlord. Participating.
well, and another point is they said it couldn't be cosmetic. And you know, those pictures that he showed us certainly looked like they had done cosmetic work on those houses because, you know, they were all landscaped and, you know, the outside looked really nice. I don't remember looking at pictures from the inside, but
Yeah, I don't
Maybe it
know.
was purely cosmetic.
Yeah, I don't know where the
New
exact
siding would
funds.
be cosmetic,
Yeah,
but it would
but-
also have a
Right.
purpose, so
Yeah.
maybe just purely cosmetic, but as a side effect.
so I'm
I
hopeful.
like cosmetic.
I mean, it's, you know,
cosmetic.
Well, anytime,
Average, it look a little better.
Yeah,
and it's obviously working in other communities, so.
yeah.
I think what he said is they weren't just gonna come in and change the color of the apartment, cause you didn't like it, or change your kitchen
Right.
counter, you
Yeah.
didn't like it. Or you wanted marble.
But they're gonna do
Yeah.
things that make it more efficient, make the house more efficient. And more stable, I guess.
Well, we really, I don't know if it's just me getting older or whatever, but I drive around this town
Oh, yeah.
and I just can't believe the town I've lived in for 50 years. Some of the neighborhoods, we need something like this.
Well, and you know, some of it's just trash, if people would just clean up their,
Right.
But I mean,
the things they throw around.
I've said this before, but with our fees and all that, we're leaving people behind. There's people that are barely getting by.
But I also agree, yeah, with Councilmember Cordy, I think it is a tolerance that we have allowed the bar to be lowered so far that it's okay when we drive by and see a house that has a ton of junk on the porch, that we're like, oh, that's just part of, that can't be tolerated anymore. And we, as the citizens, not just this council, not just the city, have to say, you know, this isn't acceptable anymore. And there are enough programs out there and enough people willing to help, including Sherry's Army and various other people, that kind of stuff, that blight does not need to happen. It really doesn't. So, that's my 2 cents, so there. But you're right, Vince, I mean, it's sad when you drive around, that some of these homes that were once jewels or considered nice homes in our community you know, they've fallen apart and they've been allowed to just become like that, so.
Well, that's why we must do our due diligence on this, so we can follow up with next year, next 5 years.
Well, and
Then
hopefully,
it makes a difference.
right, people will see the success that this program will have, and then the bar will be raised a little bit, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more, and, you know, the old keeping up with the Joneses hopefully will kick in, and people will start getting back into community pride. So,
I'll make the motion that we approve the changes or approve, authorize whatever, the city manager to approve it.
I will second that.
thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution authorizing our city manager to accept the Community Development Block Grant Housing Rehab Plan. Madam Clerk?
Mrs. Cordy?
Yes,
Mr. Butts?
Yes.
Mr. Valentine?
Yes.
Mr. Whitta?
Yes.
Mrs. Holly?
Yes,
Okay, 5 affirmative votes for resolution 5808.
We need to get Councilmember Valentine some flashcards so he can hold up yes or no or whatever. Poor guy. All right, resolution number 6 is adopting a civil rights fair housing policy relating to the Community Development Block Grant Program for the city of Wellington. I'm guessing this is related.
Sure, this is just a requirement as part of the CDBG grant, so this is kind of just formality we need to go through in order to this process rolling.
All right, anybody have any questions about that or? All right,
I move we adopt this resolution.
I second.
it's been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution adopting the civil rights fair housing policy pertaining to the CDBG grant program. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Valentine?
Yes.
Mr. Whitta?
Yes.
Mrs. Holly?
yes,
Mrs. Cordy?
Yes,
Mr. Butts?
Yes.
5 affirmative votes for resolution 5809.
Jim, we're not laughing at you, we're laughing for you. Thanks. All right. Well, we don't have any study items. Obviously, we have a lot of future agenda items. One of the things that I would like to bring to the attention of this council is that we really, I think, need to look at the KPP contract more in depth. That resolution is gonna be in front of us on April 4th, and I would really, this is a contract, and Jason, maybe you could shed a little bit of light, but just in what I've seen, I mean, this is a lifelong contract.
Well, and I believe you guys talked about this a couple of meetings ago. You know, we're in a contract currently with KPP till 2032, I believe. And this is kind of revisiting that contract and putting some different terms on that contract. One of the things being that it's kind of a rolling contract. And there's, I believe you guys have all received the contract. There's verbiage in there, spells out how that works. According to state statute, they will not allow you to enter into more than a 40-year contract. So, it's kind of a rolling contract that stays underneath that 40 mark. So, I don't know if it ever really goes away. I guess that's kind of an interpretation of how you guys interpret the contract. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that you need to look at and evaluate.
Does it have to be 40 years? Is that the?
That is the maximum
But
according
it's
to
a
state
rolling
statute.
contract.
It's a rolling
So-
20, isn't it?
So,
It's a rolling 20, but it has to stay under the 40 years by state statute.
so say we want out in 10 years.
Again, you guys have the contract available to you, but the verbiage in there says as long as they keep incurring debt, then
We can't
we
get
can't
out.
get out.
That's the way I understand.
Correct.
And I'm just a little concerned because, I mean, we pay KPP a lot of money just to administer.
Sure.
Or basically to lobby for us. Can you,
Well, they basically do a power purchase contract for us. They are our administrators that purchase power for us. So that keeps myself, Roger Estes, John Bales, Travis Orrish, that keeps us from having to go and enter into those negotiations. It would probably also include Mr. DeJarnett in those negotiations, because we'd have to have legal counsel with us, so. You know, they do that for us.
to the tune of what?
The administrative fees are fairly steep. I think this year we paid just about $450,000 in administrative fees, just off the top of my head. That price, I don't know if it's looking at going up or not, but that is figured into the cost of power that our systems pay.
But hedge against hard times. Power, or fuel, or war, or something drastic affects our ability to get power. We are in a lot better shape, but if we rock, how long we been in this, 20?
Well, we expired 2032 and it was a 20-year contract, so we're going backwards, but yeah.
So, I don't think, getting back to what the figures you said, I don't think we've got our money's worth, if, in good times.
Well,
But what we need to do, if we're gonna talk about this, it costs a lot more money. We would need to pay you and Sean and our staff more money if we're gonna put in a lot of hours that we don't have to for $450,000. Now, we could do that a lot cheaper if you guys were doing it, but nobody wants to do it. I wouldn't wanna do it.
yeah, and there's different approaches to it, and I'm not saying one way is better than the other. Some cities have looked at, they hire an outside consultant that comes in and does that. And they have a one-time fee to go negotiate a power purchase contract and then move forward. KPP is doing that for us, so, and the projects that they're doing, they're projects that hopefully are mutually beneficial to the pool as a whole. We are one of the larger players in the pool, so some of those benefit the smaller communities more than the larger communities. They did up our capacity payments just recently, so we get paid X amount of dollars for having generators up there, having them in working condition. They upped that for this recently, so we're getting an additional funding for that.
So, Mr. Butts, please.
Jason,
Hold on, gang.
you know, I have, excuse me, I have some of the same concerns Vince has. When I first heard about this 20-year thing, I thought, wow. But the more I've gotten around this or start to understand a very small part of it, the only other thing we could do if we were not a part of KPP pool would be to try to broker our own deal with Westar or someone like that. Is that
Right.
what we would do?
Which
That's
is what we did.
That's what we did prior to joining KPP.
It seems to me like we might be in a better position with KPP than we would trying to go with Westar, in as much as they've just merged with KCP&L or whatever, and who knows what their rates are gonna do. to
Yeah,
pay off that
that's
merger.
actually been held up right now, but yeah, we don't know where
It'll
that's gonna
happen
go.
sooner or later.
Well, obviously, it's a topic that, that's why before I think this council makes a decision on this, I really think we need to have a work session, prior to that April 4th meeting. And I know this week has been crazy because we have our work session, this Thursday with, the county, but, maybe toward the end of the month, is there, maybe the Monday, the 27th?
I gotta go to Lincoln.
Well, you go.
27th, 8th, and 9th.
Okay. Is everybody else okay on the 27th?
Vince will be here.
Vince has to be, you know,
No,
Vince.
Bill can speak.
All right. Well, let's try to do a work session then on the 27th. What time? 6, does 6 work okay for you, Jim? Did that work out last night? 6 o'clock? Is that good for everybody?
With the main topic of KPP is.
Yes. Okay.
I would, can you tell us when we receive that contract so that we can review it? Because, you know, I've got copies of things on my computer, but I mean.
I'll have to look back through my email to see when we received that. I assume it was shortly after we received it here at the staff level, so.
Can you just forward it to all of us again, please?
Certainly.
Easier. I can find it, yeah.
All right.
Well, the way I understand it, and Jim asked me, and I don't know if I told him right. If we decide we don't wanna stay in KPP, the only way we can get out is say, oh, as of a certain date, like the end of April 1st. We're still committed until the loans are paid off at that time?
I may have misunderstood you, sir, but we can't, we're committed to KPP till 2032, period.
Okay.
Regardless of this contract that.
But is that 2032?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at that time, we still
under the current contract that the city is currently under, as of 2032, you are out. But the contract that they're presenting to you, the 2032 date disappears, and it's basically a 20-year rolling contract that, as long as they keep incurring debt.
That's what I was getting at.
Okay,
Under the new contract,
sure.
the way I understand it, if in 10 years or less than 2032, we want out. If we give them a date, April 1st or whatever, that we want out, we can't get out until all the loans are paid that we're involved in at that time.
That's the way I understand it. I'm not a lawyer, so I would.
Well, that's what I told him, I think that's, so if we got a 15-year loan, KPP, and we want out, and we give notice, we're still stuck for 15 more years.
We're still stuck.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, so. All right, so that'll be a good topic and we'll get all the information we need. All right, anybody else have anything else they wanna add?
One thing before we leave, Mr. Shields wanted me to make sure and remind everybody about the work session Thursday. That's gonna be the joint one over at the Raymond Fire Complex.
That's 6 o'clock.
I believe so. I have to double check that, but I believe.
I have 6:30.
Okay, 6:30.
I had six.
No,
Dinner.
there will be no dinner provided to anyone. This is a work session only. So it happens at 6:30. It is just a joint meeting with the county and the Kansas Department of Aviation. This will be an informational meeting to just get us all on the same page, and so that we can hopefully move forward with some very exciting projects.
We're uninvited for dinner.
Well, just probably a better
I
idea.
think I'll explain it. The county councilor and myself had a conversation, a great concern about open meetings issues when you're providing dinner at 6, but the meeting doesn't start till 6:30, confusion amongst the public. Mr. Petusik also expressed, and I agreed with him, concern of the appearance of impropriety where you're accepting
Yeah.
dinner, who knows what it was gonna be. And then at some point, maybe being asked to take action. And so he and I kind of jointly, and Shane concurred, maybe best just not to have the dinner and avoid all kinds of potential problems.
That is what you are around for, Sean. We appreciate you keeping us out of trouble.
Just a little behind the scenes so that you know.
Okay, yes, and I do know that Mr. Petusik was quite concerned, and we want to keep Jack happy and Sean happy. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting of the Wellington City Council. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.